All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about a huge idea: how to stop just writing code and start actually driving business results. This is all about making a shift from being just a coder to being a real strategic leader. So let's do this. Let me ask you a question straight up. Have you ever poured weeks of your life, your energy, your best work into building a brand new feature? You push it to production, you wait, and then crickets. Just nothing. Nobody uses it. It's a gut-wrenching feeling, isn't it? Yeah. If that sounds familiar, you are so not alone. It's probably one of the most common frustrations in the world of development. But here's the really good news. It's fixable, and we're going to walk through exactly how to do it. So the root of this whole problem is something we'll call the disconnected coder. You know what I'm talking about. It's that massive gap between all the effort you're putting in and the actual impact that effort has on the business. This disconnect, it shows up in a few really familiar ways, right? Spending weeks, maybe months on a feature that just gets shelved, or picking up a ticket and having zero clue how it actually helps the company. It leads to that feeling of being a code monkey, just a ticket taker churning through a backlog without any real input. It's that feeling that all your hard work, it just isn't moving the needle. So what's the solution here? Well, it's a really powerful shift in perspective. It's all about going from being a task taker to becoming a real strategist. We're going to call it the CEO mindset. So what does it actually mean to code like a CEO? The idea is actually pretty simple, but putting it into practice, that's where the magic is. It means that every single technical decision you make, every line of code, every system design is intentionally aligned with a specific strategic business goal. Okay, let's put these two mindsets side by side so you can really see the difference. The regular coder mindset, it's all about the what, the tasks, the tickets. Your success is measured by how many features you can ship. But the CEO mindset, it flips that completely. It focuses on the why, the impact. And success isn't about features shipped, it's about business goals met. It's a huge shift from measuring your output to measuring your outcome. And this brings us to what is maybe the most important question of all. A CEO is obsessed with return on investment, ROI. Every dollar has to have a return. Well, your code is an investment, a huge one, of your time, your skill, company money. So you have to start asking, what's its return? Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? How does this become part of your day-to-day? Let's get practical. The whole CEO mindset is really built on 4 key pillars of impact. It all starts with understanding the why. Once you have that, you can prioritize ruthlessly. Then you learn to communicate in business terms, and finally, you measure your impact to prove it all worked. Let's break down each one. Pillar 1 is the foundation. It's where everything begins. Before you write a single line of code for any task, any feature, you have to ask that one simple question: why? Why are we building this? What problem does this solve for a customer? Getting totally clear on the why means your work is aimed at the right target from the very beginning. Pillar 2 is all about ruthless prioritization. A CEO's most valuable resource is time and focus, and yours is too. You can't do everything. So you have to get really good at telling the difference between what's just urgent and what's truly important. You focus all your energy on what's important. The other stuff, you schedule it, you delegate it, or you just get rid of it. This is about protecting your focus for what matters. Okay, pillar 3, this is all about how you communicate your value. Your technical work is incredible, but if you don't translate it into business language, it can seem invisible to everyone else. So don't just say you refactored the API. Say, I improved server response time by 30%, which made the user experience way better. See that difference? You're tying your tech work directly to a real business win. And finally, pillar 4 is where you prove it. Measure your impact. This is how you demonstrate your ROI. Because if you can't measure it, you can't really prove it happened. So before you start a project, figure out the one key business metric it's supposed to change, like user signups or maybe customer churn. Then you measure it again when you're done. That data, that's your proof that your code delivered real, tangible value. So how do you actually start doing this? This is a journey. It's not a switch you flip overnight, but you can absolutely take the first steps today. Let's make it super concrete. Here is your action plan for this week. It's really simple. On the very next task you get, just ask why. That's it. Then try to identify one business metric it should affect. Block out just 30 minutes in your calendar to read your team's or your company's top business goals. And then in your next status update, try to frame your progress around its impact. 4 little things. That's all it takes to get started. Now, when you start applying these pillars over and over, something really cool begins to happen. A real transformation. You start to evolve from just being a coder into being a leader. And let's talk about that payoff. Ultimately, this mindset completely changes your role on the team. You stop being seen as just a code implementer, the person who executes on someone else's ideas. You become a strategic problem solver. You become an indispensable part of the business conversation. I'll leave you with this one idea because I think it sums up everything we've talked about perfectly. Great developers write code, but elite developers, the ones who become true leaders, they drive outcome. And so, as we wrap up, I have one final question for you to take away. As you think about your work for the next few days, what's the one business metric your code will move this week? Answering that question, that's your first real step to coding like a CEO. Thanks for joining me.